What's up, gamers, and welcome back for more WotC-20. Today's matchup is a reroll of Shining Kings versus Koga's Knocklock. So this is outside a tournament. The previous match was a little bit of a beatdown, so they wanted to run it back. So this is that run back. We'll see how it goes this time. And opening up, we have a Cleffa inactive for Kingdra, as well as a Murkrow for Koga's Knocklock. So 2 Koga on bench, looking like a pretty good start for both sides. I don't think there are 4 Cleffa in the Knocklock deck to begin with, so not expecting to always see one in the opener there. And turn 1 attach will be a Darkness Energy on that Murkrow. We'll see if it goes for a mean look on this Cleffa, but first a Copycat. Always good to see turn 1 if you don't have Fan Club. And I'm not sure how many Warp Energy are run in this Kingdra list, but I assume it would be 2 or 3, just given the very high 3 retreat cost of E-Reader Kingdra. Worth noting here, depending on how the pilots are feeling, the Genetic Memory Kingdra might be the go-to play here for this matchup. Just because of Genetic Memory, it could reverse thrust out of any sort of lock from Murkrow, but with a Cleffa inactive and a Cleffa on bench, those are more likely to become the lock targets for Murkrow later down the line here. So post Copycat, you can see the Fan Club. You can't play 2 supporters a turn though, so that'll have to wait for next turn. Looks like a Finder, a Koga, and an N1 Steelix, which was being splashed and tried out as an attacker in this deck.
Judge warning.
And it is a Tails on Mean Look. Horsey comes down on the first card of the turn for Kingdra. Energy removal to the Darkness Energy. Not sure how many Darkness Energies are in the Knocklock deck either, if it's 4 or not. I assume it is. And the Eek from Kingdra will pass back into the immediate Fan Club from Koga. Brings out 1 Hoot Hoot. I assume we'll see maybe a second. Thinking about what to grab here. Maybe it's a Steelix line. Could go for the Onyx. Good deck peep here.
Yeah, Emerald Sea Glass. Oh man. Yeah, Emerald Sea Glass.
And it will be the Onyx. That's a Southern Islands Onyx. Probably the best one we have in format. Good 90 HP body. Good attack with DCE. Very good card. And obviously we will not be seeing it use Body Slam, although sometimes certain decks will be able to turn that on.
Yeah. Check it out. Look it up.
And attached for turn, there's another Darkness Energy, so most likely running 4 in this list. Going for the Mean Look lock again. Tails again. So passing back to Kingdra here, a Fan Club of their own, so lots of turn 2 Fan Clubbing. It's good turn 1, but it's also very good turn 2 or turn 30. It's a fantastic card. Every deck seems to have at least one. Second Horsey comes to bench, along with that, we've discussed it before, Black Star Promo Articuno that was printed holo only in Japanese. I believe it was a gift box set it was printed in, something like that. And I think that's a Fossil Seadra, comes down from hand, has 60 HP, so something to keep an eye on. Evolving the Horsey from the previous turn. And a DCE attaches to the Horsey. And it pulls off a reverse thrust for 20 to put the Cleffa back into active. So I assume we'll see the Murkrow attempt another Mean Look here. First Steelix comes down with a Metal Energy onto the bench. So that's getting up on online quick. Worth noting that the Articuno item finder for I assume this will be a copycat given the Eek. But back to the Articuno on bench, 80 HP, the ability Aura Veil probably won't matter this match, but as long as Articuno is active, your benched Pokemon do not take damage from and are not affected by attacks. Yours or your opponent's. So, cool splash card, a little defensive, and Ice Beam again is 30 damage, flip for paralysis, 2 water, 2 colorless. You can see another Steelix in hand here. I believe it's only a 2-2 line as an attacking option. Grass Energy to Koga's Coughing. And that will come in. Would have liked to see the lock. And we will see a Smokescreen attempt instead here, and it's a head, so that'll deal 10 damage to the Cleffa. Cleffa just needs to free retreat, though, in order to remove the Smokescreen effect. So if it doesn't retreat, Eek is not guaranteed. You have to flip and hit a heads to get through Smokescreen's effect, but otherwise it's 10 damage. I would have liked to see the mean look. Force them to find a warp, force them to use it early. I assume there are limited warps here. There's no warp bouncing. I don't think there's an Espeon in this Kingdra deck. Rainbow Energy attaches to Articuno, dealing 10 damage to it. And it... Yep, there we go. So it's going to be an Eek, but would have had to roll, so free retreat the Cleffas between each other to remove the Smokescreen effect. Noctowl comes down, so Glaring Gaze is now in play. Glaring Gaze, as we all know, on a coin flip, you'll be able to look at your opponent's hand, pick a card there that is a trainer, and put it back into their deck. So Eek will need to resolve before Glaring Gaze can happen. Another Murkrow in hand, looks like a Steelix, Grass Energy, and Rainbow Energy. Grass attaches to the bench Koga for a turn, but let's talk about this Steelix for a second from Neogenesis. It was its own deck back in the day. It's Fire Weak, Grass Resistant, huge retreat cost of 4, and for DCE, Tackle will deal 20, otherwise Metal and 2 colorless is Tail Crush, 30, flip for heads and get 50 instead. It looks like Glaring Gaze is going to send Town V back into the deck, otherwise there's a bunch of energy there. You can see the Rainbow Energy, Lightning, Water. Keep in mind that there is a Shining Raichu in this Kingdra deck that could end up getting some big bench snipes. So keep an eye on where those Rainbow Energies are moved around to, where the Lightning Energies land, because that Raichu, even though it's a big cost attack, it's worth powering up, and it has a lot of ways to do so in this deck. Smokescreen is at Tails. Tails on the baby flip, I should say, so Cleffa takes no damage, and Kingdra now comes down on to the board. And now we'll have to keep an eye on any movement opportunities for Water Cyclone. As a reminder, you can move a Water Energy from your active to one of your bench Pokemon as many times as you like during your turn. And speaking of bench Pokemon, probably want to find that Raichu sooner rather than later. There's only one copy in the deck. So the question is, do you item finder for your fan club to pull it out? Different Seadra comes down, so instead of Fossil, that is Neogenesis. Has 10 more HP. Also, Mud Splash is a very good attack, and Water attaches there as well. If you're not familiar with Mud Splash, you deal 30 to the active, and then coin flip to deal 10 to the bench. 10 to one of their bench Pokemon, if any. Alright, and it'll just be an Eek. Alright, another Murkrow in hand, looks like was the draw. Hard to tell there. A second Darkness Energy attaches to Murkrow. And Glaring Gaze is a heads. So we get the C hand here. Ooh, Trader's a good one to get rid of. Keep that Raichu at bay. Although there is a comp search, we're probably going to see that Raichu come down next turn no matter what, so it would be good to get that mean look going. Alright, there goes comp search. I would have gotten rid of the Trader, just because comp search is still a force to discard 2. And some consideration here, do you keep going for the smoke screen or not? Instead we will retreat, bring back in the Murkrow. If you can get the mean look lock here, you can start picking off the bench with Feint Attack. Tails again. So that's a lot of tails on Cleffa. I think we saw 1 heads for 1 smoke screen. I think that's only 10 on the Cleffa. So, probably going to see a multi-prize turn here. No, okay. It was Trader for the other Kingdra instead. I guess there's not enough Lightning or Rainbow on board or in hand to get Raichu off this turn, so that makes sense. Rainbow attaches to Cleffa. Keep in mind those can always be moved with Kingdra's ability. And as we were just saying, Water Cyclone, 1 water off of the active Cleffa to a benched Kingdra. Now Kingdra's all powered up. And Rapids is a very good attack. It'll deal 50 to active, so I'll take 2 darkness off the board, which is very painful for Murkrow. You know there's another Murkrow in hand, so probably would have clutched up that second Darkness Energy to preserve it. Copycat for 3, it looks like. So a very lean Copycat, but Kingdra's got 120 HP. It's not going to go down easy. It's bigger than Steelix. And if Rapids isn't just one-shotting everything, it has a coin flip to remove an energy card from the defending Pokemon, if any. So very difficult for something like Steelix to come in and wall it because of that. Steelix, although it would survive up to 3 of those attacks, probably wouldn't be able to attack back in a meaningful way, depending on the coin flip. So first prize, takes a Murkrow off board and 2 Darkness Energy. That's a big deal. And now Coughing comes in. Cleffa comes down onto bench. And we'll see about Glaring Gaze here. Glaring Gazes have been fine. Those have been heads. We've got a Gust, a Town V, and a Finder. Would definitely get rid of that Gust. Alright, and it pitches the Item Finder. Makes sense given you have a Cleffa down. Maybe you attach to it. Maybe you don't want Item Finder to pull Copycat out of the bin. Rainbow Energy to Cleffa, that'll deal 10 to it. Not a big deal. And Smokescreen for 10, so that does dangle the Coughing. With a DCE in hand, let's see, there's no easy way to get that Kingdra out of active. You could DCE to either the Articuno or the other Kingdra, but there's no warp. DCE will go to the Articuno. And gusting away the coughing will not remove the smokescreen effect. That's only if you can get out of the active position.
Oh no, it's not mine. So it's probably yours. Right? Oops, sorry.
A little camera bump.
I've only got the one notification. Unless, never mind. That is me buzzing. Glenn, if you're watching, please stop sending me TikToks. My bad.
I like the Magikarp shirt from Papa Jump Pluff. Too locked in to have noticed it before now.
True. That's just until your next turn, right? Yeah.
I would say stay active, hit through the smokescreen, take a prize, move on. Coughing is not going to be... It's possible for it to take out this Kingdra, but that would have to be insane luck. Odds are in your favor. Yep, it's good. Coughing is down, takes a grass energy off the board.
It's flip a coin.
So I think at this point you gotta look for gusts and try to lock a Cleffa into active. DCE comes down onto the Steelix. So it could come in and try to start swinging, but 110 HP remaining on that Kingdra is tough to deal with, even as a Steelix.
Just want to not be bad, but
You're good. It's a friendly.
yeah.
So.
Water energy, so now Articuno has its full attaches needed to attack. So hopefully a good E-Cant comes up here for Knocklock. I did get an exclusive interview with the pilot of this deck to find out that between the Sekiro mat and the card sleeves, this is a Sekiro-inspired deck between the Owls and the Smoke Bombs and the Katana Steel. If you know, you know.
Keep your energies.
Alright, so gusting in the Steelix. Kingdra will swing for 50, but does not get the energy discard with Rapids. So that is going to put 40 on board. And an Onyx comes down onto bench.
Just want to show you that spread. Nice little section of my deck.
Only 3 focus bands stacked next to each other in the deck peep. This is a friendly. And Fan Club will pull out another coughing as well. So I'd love to see a Murkrow and a Gust. Hard to consider what the warps will be, though. Attach for turn as a grass to Koga's coughing on bench.
I told Glenn I had to call him out for sending me TikToks. Said clip it and send it. So sorry, Fan Club grabbed another coughing, an Onyx. Okay. And then a grass one. Got it.
Glaring Gaze roll.
Nope.
tails. That's fine. The bigger flip is going to be this tail crush to see if it's 30 or 50 to the Kingdra. And that's 30. It is worth noting that with the Rapids coin flip to discard an energy card, it does not have to be a basic, so it could target that DCE. And there's the Shining Raichu from Fan Club. So it takes the last bench slot. Wouldn't bring it in just yet. Things are going fine. Not enough lightning on board either. There's technically 2 rainbows, but you'd be hard pressed to get the rainbow off of the Articuno and then get the Articuno out of active. You'd have to pitch the DCE. It's a lot of deceleration to go about it that way. And Steelix, avoiding the energy discarding effects of Rapids twice, is now staring down a KO next turn. But if you can hit a heads on Steelix's Tail Crush, you should be good. DCE and Steelix number 2 are on board now on the bench. So if you can hit heads on Tail Crush, this Kingdra maybe stays in to take the KO and then you can respond. Probably not. I assume they would find a way to get it out of active and move one of the water energy over to something like the Articuno. Alright, it was 30 damage on Tail Crush with the tails, which is too bad. That requires 50 to get the knockout on it now. And worth noting that the line of play earlier to get the Articuno and active and Ice Beam it would not have been enough for a KO either, because 80 would not get it to the 110. Because Ice Beam would only deal 20 with that metal energy attached. Instead we see an Elm, so no more trainers for turn here. Now there's no way for the Kingdra pilot to know this, but the Steelix on bench might not be able to Tail Crush next turn. So you could stand with the Kingdra, guarantee the knockout here. And just to be safe, there was a rainbow in hand, not that they knew that, but ERing that DCE is a huge blow. That's a very important play right now. Wait a minute. Did that ER come down after the Elm? Don't think you can do that? We'll ignore that. It is a friendly. Misplays happen. Bunch of energy movement and retreating. So lots of deceleration, as we were talking about before, to get that Articuno into the active and out. It'll discard a DCE, move the 2 rainbows on board to the Raichu, so big risky play. I almost would have not evolved the second Steelix to keep Onyx to try to take advantage of the super effectiveness against Shining Raichu, because it is fighting weak. You might have been able to slam it into a individual KO. Yeah, because slam would be 2 coin flips, 20 per heads, so. That Shining Raichu only has 70 HP. Yeah, you could one-shot it with an Onyx in a DCE. Alright, and a double KO will remove a ton of energy off the board. Take out a Steelix and a Cleffa for a double prize, so prizes are now 2 to 6. And a Coughing comes active. Keeping an eye on Gust attempts 2 here, because Noctowl would get one shot by Raichu. You can see a Warp in hand for Koga. I think it's time to start gusting and mean looking, if possible. There's the Gust. And the very damaged, very out of energy Kingdra on the bench gets gusted in, but it's still at 70. 50 HP is gonna take a bit for this Knocklock deck to chew through. Elm means no more trainers for the turn. And a full grip, you can see the DCE there. I would not mind something like a Town V. Ooh, there it is. I would go get that Onyx. Alright, DCE to Steelix. Not worth coming in to tackle though. And Glaring Gaze attempt is not a success. Remember, no more trainers for turn. Coughing comes on the bench. See some focus bands in there. Those are going to have to chill. And Coughing, smoke screens for 10. So 80 out of 120 on the climb to knock out this Kingdra. Huge grip for Kingdra's side. You can see a Magby in hand. And we see a Pokemon Center come down. That removes a ton of damage off board. That is tragic.
Debated letting you just kill it, switch to
Alright, and it looks like a lightning attached to Kingdra to start getting towards that retreat cost of 3, so Focus Band comes down on the Coughing. Given that Pokemon Center drop last turn, I would be all hands on deck to get Murkrow back. I've not been counting the number of Darkness Energy or Rainbow Energy that have gone to the bin through Knockout. Looks like Town V is going to be grabbing the Coughing line. So we're going to be smoke screening our way through the rest of this match, I guess. And there's the Onyx and the Steelix, so there's potential to get lucky with coin flips and knock out that Raichu in one shot. Oh, there is a Gust in hand. Not gonna wait, just gonna pull on the Raichu. into Elm. Okay. We'll see if they can find that Onyx. Not sure how many DCE have been binned. I know there's at least one from the Steelix knockout. But Onyx into DCE here could be a play. There's the Onyx and 2 Rainbow and the Murkrow, so there's options. Onyx comes down. Do you start slow attaching to it?
Yeah. They knew.
Glaring Gaze is good. See a Miracle, a Lightning, another Pokemon Center. Looks like a Fisherman is in there. Fisherman gets pitched back into the deck. Raichu gets Smoke Screen, so that'll make putting down Miracle Energy less appealing. Since it discards at the end of your turn, but that double Rainbow it provides, an extra 20 bench snipe, is scary. I'll just say slow attach the Lightning, and then threaten to bench snipe for 50 with Miracle later. Alright, looks like Smokescreen is hit through. Oh, there was already. Oh, right. Raichu does the bench snipe based on water attaches. So that was 50 to a benched Coughing. We're down to 1 prize. Coughing inactive is at 10 HP remaining. Glaring Gaze. Tails. And I think that's about it here. You can't get your Onyx powered up with a DCE right now. You can't gust something else in and lock it with Murkrow right now.
No, big front. Yeah. Yeah. Then finish.
Yeah, Rainbow to Onyx, it's going to be too slow. Well, yeah, Smokescreen could prevent an attack here. The bench snipe damage. Yeah, you just got to make sure Smokescreen works, but looks like they're just going to free retreat into Cleffa, bring it up, break off the Smokescreen, and then explode the board with a Miracle Energy. So that'll be it. Good game. Couldn't get the lockdown. Lots of tail flips on babies. It happens, but that's WotC-20. So thank you for watching. We'll catch you later.
All the hoots and the Gus and the copy can.
Well, this wasn't bad. It was.
Yeah.
That's what I saw.